never really been heard, so I thought I'd share here with those. This is called The Art of Savagery. I was once walking along, minding my own indigenous business, hair flowing like the best Pantene commercial, when I was stopped in my tracks. A young girl, fair-skinned, bright-eyed, eager to talk, eager to ask, "Are you a real Indian?" Corporate sweat lodges, Lewis is named Daniel, dancing and playing Indian all day. "Are you a real Indian?" "Yes, I am." To which her bright eyes got wide and her pigtails blowing in the wind of her flight, screaming in fear. She ran, but she had no opportunity to really get down and share. But this one's called Nobody, and I like this one. When they ask who your favorite Indian is, say, nobody. Nobody is everybody while being nobody at all. Nobody eats beans from a can, a traditional gesture to honor the great white father's provisions. A commodity to some, a commodity for nobody. Nobody hates feathers, but he carries them everywhere he goes just in case. And nobody can start a fire with matches just as good as any white man. And I would put nobody against any white man in doing that. Up against anybody for quotes from spaghetti westerns, especially the Indian and Clint Eastwood parts. And nobody is Cherokee and Blackfoot and derives from royalty of indigeneity. He is nobody's Indian. Nobody is Indian, more Indian than the most Indian that was ever Indian. And while it's true that Wes Studi drank him under the table, he's still the Indian's Indian. Nobody holds on to his Indianness the way that a white-haired cougars in turquoise from head to toe clutch their purses in Santa Fe walking by a real Indian. And when nobody is confronted, he doesn't back down. That'd be $5 for a picture with a real Indian. And when they say nobody, say no, nobody, he punches them in the face and asks for 10. Nobody looks like Gary Farmer, but with sexier moves, a real candidate for diabetes, a high risk for drinking all of your alcohol, with a high probability of being the life of the party. Nobody has no home, no family except his relations, which is everyone and no one. And he walks the plains where the buffalo roam. His hair is long and messy. His clothes have been decolonized at the knees with the holes in his shirt and stains in his Indian pits. Nobody is your favorite Indian because he is a noble, honorable, shameful fool. And you can use him as your token Indian friend, a proud statement for your culturally diverse friends. And you can spit on nobody and you can tell him that you're tired of hearing that this is his land but nobody cares. It's because nobody is every Indian. And no Indian, he is your mascot, he is your court gesture, your token Indian joke, and one day nobody will no longer be nobody. And he will be a reminiscent of your disembodied heads that are your romantic novel Indians. He will drink your firewater into nothingness, and nobody will be out of your sight while he is out of his mind. Nobody. Nobody. Nobody is my favorite Indian because he is nobody's Indian. I have been a person of periphery my whole life. As we enter into a new era of oppressive ghouls gleefully oppressing, a collective realization takes hold that we are being pushed into the margins of American value, American assets, American earning potential, all while our children hold the line of our moral ineptitude. Mystified by how they can create these barricades so well when they've trained for this their entire lives through school shooter drills, forcing our children to protect the Second Amendment, forcing our children to protect guns while we actively don't protect our children. I can't sleep. Even though my nightmares are dreams, my nightmares are daymares reserved for my reality, and my reality is being managed by sycophantic, genocidal maniacs of the state. Imagine licking the boots of genocide. Is it cannibalism if you lick blood?
great. All the white folks get a clean slate. Freedom soldiers, the newest elixir. American white, not an ethnic mixer. Our country built on genocide. Wrestle with the facts, don't run and hide. Set the tone for us countrywide. Blind nationalism, American pride. Fuck you and your little patriot circle. Fuck your capitalist hateful virtue. You're looking at the marketing at best. The imperialist cult, hand on your wrist. Not just people live while we succumb. Just to make middle class stop. Criminalize being broke. Yeah, they chuck it up to being broke. America is so star-spangled awesome. The next place where the empire blossoms. Killing natives, they're in slave labor too. When they bleed, they regret right now. Movie politicians with open hands, giant toddlers with demands. Check your notes, what's the result? Our country's in a fascist cult. Fed hopes in the American dream. Fed equality and star-spangled themes. We are a nation of death and the blood. We're all merely post-American. Spirit animal, you sound obscene. Spirit cannibal, remain unseen. A stolen home on stolen land. A foundation built on sand. He hates me, I like that. Take up your keyboard combat. I shout, you shout back. Big hands give a big old smack. By the man with nothing to lose. By a man who is construed. History known, history unknown. They're robbing us like the Lily Gladstone. Christian heathen, take some more. We are at war. This is just it, we died to be. Apologetically, embrace and plead. Pride got you at the beat. By a man with nothing to lose. By a man who is construed. Woo! You know you are. You culture vulture, fake-ass idiots trying to take the benefit of our culture. Ceremony, they're burning sage. Like cultural appropriation. All of my stealing, that's a new age settler colonial fever. Get your own culture. Spirit animal, you're not that slick. Spirit animal, you settler drink. A stolen home on stolen land. A foundation built on sand. In the tradition of my people, whenever we introduce ourselves, we do it in our language. Amu, nu gregio mina nia, nu kiu takara, nu kumu, nu na, nu chibudu, nu gubetu yadawara. Which is to say, my name is Greg. I'm a member of the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe. I am a husband and a father, a maker of things, a disruptor of spaces. We are the Dead Pioneers. This is my indigenous brother, Josh, on guitar. These guys are DEI hires. We got Abe, and we got me and Shane on drums. Those are the 2 ones. Now, oddly enough, this band was born from a performance art project and has turned into something else and using spoken word. So I'm going to do a spoken word piece and then we're going to jump right back into it, all right? This is called Blood Lady Carnival. Person of periphery my whole life. And as we enter a new era of oppressive ghouls, gleefully oppressing, a collective realization takes hold that we are being pushed into the margins of American value, American assets, American earning potential, all while American children are holding the line of our moral ineptitude. Mystified by how they can build those barricades so well when they've trained for this their entire lives through school shooter drills, forcing children to protect gun rights while we actively don't protect our children. I can't sleep. Even though my nightmares are dreams, my nightmares are daymares reserved for my reality. And my reality is being managed by sycophantic genocidal maniacs of the state. Imagine licking the boots of genocide. Is it cannibalism if you lick blood? America is a pyramid scheme and we ain't at the top. It's not just a cottage industry in America, but an honest to goodness American value. The foundation of our country is rooted in slavery and genocide, born in the bosom of colonialism.
I think there's something wrong when you see guys' teeth.
From the very That one's off our new record, which is available at the merch booth called Post American. We like that. Next song is a love song, also on the new record. Pink song.
It is good that warriors such as we meet in life or death.
Thank you guys so much. We know you're here to see Pennywise, Propaganda, Comeback Kid, but we are honored to be able to open for these guys. Iron Rose is going to be coming up right after us, but we still got a few more songs. I think maybe we should slow it down. No? All right, we won't. Let's see if you guys know this one. Went to a record store today, we did a little record signing, and a gentleman came up to me and he said, "You don't look like an Indian." I told him I was doing my best and really I could give a shit. The truth is that we are a people that have been beholden to Western culture's perception of our existence and not the reality of our existence. The reality of our existence is we are diverse as this world that we live in. We are stoked to be here as indigenous people of North America, and we are doing our best. You know, sometimes people say things, and sometimes we tell them to fuck off. The truth is that oftentimes I'm not a very good Indian. Sometimes even a bad Indian. My cheekbones aren't high enough. My last name isn't a sentence. I don't have enough beat work or turquoise, and I don't speak good pidgin English. Certainly not as good as Johnny Depp did in that movie that one time. And I could care less if you connect with native spirituality. I could care less if you did a sweat lodge once with your Caucasian spirit guide. You do an Indian once, and sure, millions of native people died, but tell me about your feelings and cry your white tears, because I'm just over here being a bad Indian. A woman once asked me my Indian name, and I said, "It's Greg." She was so disappointed. She was like, "No, it has to be Red Eagle or Two Rivers or Gray Skull." I said, "Yes, but is that true?" No, I said. And now you're realizing my brief generationally relevant He-Man joke, the kind of joke that would tell her that while Indian, I'm also having an American experience too. So I finally said to her, "How about Walking Eagle?" And she said, "Yes." And is that true? I said, "Yeah, it's totally true." I never had the heart to tell her that the only time an eagle walks is when it's too full of shit to fly. Because I'm a bad Indian. There was this one time a man walked in my space and he asked me about my things. And I tell him, when suddenly he interrupts me. It's only a white man can, with all the Euro swagger of a man whose people were so sure of their place in the universe, their place in the world, their place in the eyes of God. You speak real good for a Native American, an Indian, a savage, a pagan, a godless heathen, a ragged burner. I mean, justified calling in. I mean, justified calling racist. I mean, justified telling where to go. You don't make me a bad Indian. You know the kind of things that I would say. You know the one that really Indian is a dead Indian. But I'm a bad Indian. And I'm here. Thank you. This next song is for the working class across the world that are holding up world economies, not being paid their due, and living day after day, working their asses off for nothing. Here we go.
For union members!
We choose the right to be who we are. We know the difference between the reality of freedom and the illusion of freedom.
No rest for theory, we always reconvene. No rest is a way, no guys again so much. We do have merch back there. It's a great support. We got 2 records, some t-shirts, and I promise you'll love it all. You like this? You like